Josie's on his vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know
A little later than normal, we released this, but here he is, ladies and gentlemen. It's Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Big thanks to Reggie Frederick and the family there at Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley. Go book your next lane reservation today, chaletbowl.com. All right, Divish, let's start fresh. They are off a great road trip, which they go 5-1. They return home. They're 500 since the, first time since when?
April 2nd, I believe.
April 2nd. There's a lot to cover. Matt Brash, obviously, will start there. Red hot Cole Young. But let's just get the overall observations of what was a great road trip for this team, in which in the beginning of the season, the road trip was killing these guys.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't a great road team. They weren't hitting. I think, going back to the old Scott Service adage, you want to win on the road, you got to score. You got to be 4 runs good more often than not. And they hadn't been, but I felt like they, you're starting to see the offense come around. Like, let's be honest too, like the Cardinals pitching is not good. The Twins bullpen is really, really awful. So it's like, okay, you should score runs against these teams. And they did. And, I think that's a good sign. You look at the other night, was it Tuesday night? Josh Naylor had 3 hits. Cole Young had 3 hits. Mm-hmm. Julio had 3 hits. Randy had a couple hits. I mean, like, even today, JP was on base 3 times, hit a homer. I mean, like, it's and like Cal's sac fly today should have been a double. Byron Buxton made a ridiculous catch on the warning track. So, no, I felt like, the offense was better, and I think that's a big reason why they're winning on the road is they're scoring runs. You look up at the first road trip and everything, they were getting shut down pretty good by the Rangers and the Angels.
Okay, so it's top of mind because as we sit here and record this on Wednesday, everyone's holding their breath kind of for Matt Brash. What is the very latest with Matt Brash? Only threw a few pitches. Clearly, he noticed something. He told everyone that he felt something maybe on the first pitch. Cal saw it right away, and then he saw it on the second one. They came out there, and they pull him out of the game. So what's the status right now with the right?
He has some discomfort in his right side. I guess you'd probably say his oblique area. He didn't exactly show us where, but like, just discomfort.
Well, we wouldn't know where it's at, though.
Yeah, I have obliques. I tore one, but like he,
well, you do. I don't.
He said that he had dealt with it off and on the last couple of days. Felt it last night when he pitched, but he thought kind of chalked it up to being like 35 degrees. I swear when he was pitching last night, but. Then today, like after the game last night, he didn't have any discomfort. And then when he played catch day and warmed up, even in the bullpen, he felt fine. But he just noticed that when he got on the mound, it just wasn't going away. And, after 2 pitches, like the second pitch, he couldn't really get his arm the way he wanted to. And so Cal wisely called for the trainer. And they pulled him. He's going to go get, I assume, an MRI tomorrow, any other imaging that they do. And Justin Hollander gives his usually start of the homestand injury updates on Friday, so we'll see. I would think, given like that it's in the oblique area or in that side area, you don't want to mess with that they would put him on the 15-day IL just to be on the safe side. The one thing is too with Matt, you don't want him like baby in that area and then doing something to make his arm hurt. So my guess is we could see an IL stint for him, but maybe it's better than we think. But, the precautionary move would be to put him on the IL and just rest him up.
Do you think you can track something for me? Do the Mariners lead the league in the history of baseball in oblique injuries?
No.
Are we sure?
It does feel like there's a high amount. And it's weird. It goes in stretches. I remember one year, like, Haniger and 2 or 3 other guys had it. I wonder sometimes though, like it is the conditions, it is the cold, stuff like that. You're not loose and you're tight, and then that's how it can happen. But like Bryce has happened in Arizona when it was like 1,000 degrees. So I'm not certain, but I've seen a run on of oblique injuries this year all over baseball. So maybe it's something in the training that these guys are doing in the off season.
It's just amazing. Speaking of obliques, we'll circle back. We'll get to Donovan in just a quick second. So he's going to wait, get an MRI. We'll see if he lands on the IL. Then what would you shuffle the board with the bullpen?
Yeah.
Next man up. What are the options there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's down there. I mean, I'm trying to think who they sent out. Legomina, they DF or they had,
right. He's in Tampa now, right?
him. So, I mean, Troy Taylor, some of those guys down there. There's a few other guys they could bring up as a stopgap, I think, at this point. And then,
can I ask one in particular?
who's that?
He's a big righty-hander. Would they ever bring him up just for giggles?
You mean Ryan Sloan?
Yeah, just for giggles.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Damn it.
They might at the end of the season, but not in
for sure. But not
first
right
of May. No, so we'll get one of those guys that they brought in, and that everybody has to slide up a spot. I mean, that's that's the difficult spot. Is like you saw it in this series, and even in St. Louis when they get 6 from their starter. I mean, it's real clean because then you get 7, 8, 9 to cover, and you have 4 good pitchers and Pizarro, Spire, Brash, and Munoz. One thing is Jose Ferrer has pitched a lot better of late.
Mm-hmm.
And his velo is bumping up to 99. So, I mean, like that does give them an option, but losing Brash for any amount of time hurts them. I mean, it just does. And I think that's not something they like to see, but I think they'd be wise to make sure that he doesn't step on the mound until he feels 100%.
I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, and again, I don't know if these guys are starters or relievers down there. I don't pay much attention to what's happening on the Rainiers, honestly, unless it's Colt Emerson, then I'm all in. But there's, I think, a few guys, at least pitchers, that are on the 40-man. Domingo Gonzalez, Robinson Ortiz, and then you mentioned Troy Taylor.
I mean, like, my guess is they would probably try and go with a guy on the 40-man so they don't have to burn a guy. But, so there's some guys down there. I mean, the one thing is they're not, they're largely unproven, or they're not going to be leverage guys. You're going to need, that's the one thing is that you look at the rest of the bullpen, you're not looking at Cole Wilcox or Alex Hoppe or Cooper Criswell to be leverage guys, though. Criswell has probably is the most experienced and might be able to do it a little bit more. But the other 4 guys are just going to have to pick up the leverage situations more.
Okay, let's go down the list. I mean, you want to talk about a road trip. I mean, he had a great spring. He started off great. He kind of dipped a little bit, but has come right back up again. Cole Young is just, Cole Young's going to go knock on the manager's door before the game on Friday and go, hey, Skip, you think I can move up a little bit in the lineup? I mean, he's been sensational, and what a road trip for him.
Yeah, he went 11 for 22, batted 500. I think his OPS was something like 12 something on this road trip.
Oh man.
And it was he had 6 RBIs, or he had 6 straight games with an RBI. He's had 8 RBI on the road trip. How many of them were late or clutch? He's got 6 RBIs in the 7th inning to either tie the game or take a lead. That's big time clutch stats. And it's funny. It's so his approach is so simple. His swing is simple. The best part today was like, he hits, that's like a 10 hopper. It's off the end of the bat, breaks his back, goes past the mound. And then like Kramer's the one who saw it, but on the video, on the replay, he looks right at Eric Young Jr. and goes, "Oh my God, bro." Like, just like he's still 22, so it's like, it makes us laugh. So it's just, one thing is he doesn't strike out in those situations. Even today, like he was up 2-0, took 2 swings at pitches out of the zone, reset, fought off another pitch, managed to get a ball in play. But like, and honestly, if I'm the Twins, they still, both times today he came up in the 7th with the tying run on. They left Bradley in, who's probably better than any of the relievers, didn't go to a lefty. But then in the 9th, they didn't go to a lefty there either, because he's been pretty good against lefties too. So it's like, so I mean, like it's a testament. And listening to him talk about his preparation and everything else, he just has taken more of an ownership in his spot. Like the work he did this offseason, we talked about, getting stronger, getting more athletic, leaning up, but it's also like the work he's doing pregame he's studying pitchers. He's looking at how he's getting attacked. He's starting to take ownership of his at-bats, not just going up there. I think last year, given the situation that he was called up in, 21 years old on a winning team, and at the time, like, they were really scuffling and they didn't have answers for those positions. And, throwing his defensive struggles last year, I think he was just trying to survive. And then, like, this year, it's a lot different. There's just a maturity to him. And, like, he understands what he's trying to do up there, and he's not deviating from his approach. I think, like, we talked to Dan Wilson about the batting order and stuff today, pregame, and even stuff about Young. And the one thing is like, it doesn't seem like, given what he's done and given how he goes about his work, we're going to see the 0 for 40 or whatever, the 0 for 35 that we saw last year. Like,
he just looks, he looks completely different. And it just a more, and you're right, his approach, how he goes about it, his swing, stance, everything, just so smooth. It always looks better from the left side.
Everything
anyways.
is
simple,
but it's like
just beautiful.
simple, but it's powerful, and like he generates a lot of power for not being the biggest guy in the world.
I mean, I don't think anybody's. We sit here in the end of April, he would be leading the team in RBIs.
No. And then, but I do think, like, and that's one thing is, like,
and his glove's been better. We haven't even talked about his glove.
He made his first error yesterday. It's like in Bull Durham. Like, when
I blame Goldie and Gary Hill, because they were just going on and on and on and on in the pregame about how he was number one in defensive run saves as a second baseman. So it's their fault.
Yeah, it was. I was talking to Perry Hill about that. I think Adam's writing something about it too. But, like, Perry Hill hates defensive run save because, like, they had a game where Cole,
of course he does.
Where Cole was, like, leading in defensive run saved at second baseman. He made two really nice plays, turned it out into something else, and he somehow went down in defensive run saves. It's like, I don't understand the metrics, so I don't like it. How he could go down. But no, he's been great. I think. I just think, like, you look at everything he does, it's really simple. It's really smart. He's gotten better. I mean, he's a big part of it. And, like, as far as the lineup goes, I think they don't, it's like in Bull Durham, when Nuclear Luce is wearing the garters, and then he tells Crash Davis that he's gonna stop wearing them, and Crash says, never fuck with a streak. Like, you don't mess with success. Right now, I think they believe that, keeping Cole down at 8 or 7 or 8, not putting him in a spot where, it's really leveraged all the time, I think, has relaxed him. I mean, there's going to come a time when he moves up.
Where would you put him? Daydream. Where would you put him?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, their lineup flows pretty well the way it is. I mean, he's not a huge walks guy. Like, right now, JP Crawford's getting on base at like 355, 360. Like, their lineup, when it's right, even today, because Bradley's really good. Taj Bradley's good. Like, it still flows, and there's no rest anymore. Like, look at today, Canzone had 2 huge hits in the 7 spot. Like, the double off of Bradley to set up Cole Young's RBI. And then in the 9th, he doubled down the right field line, or he singled down the right field line with Randy on first. So, runners first and third, and then they put in Rivas to steal second. Like, it flows nicely when they're facing right-hander. And also it sets up well too, so they can sub in guys. You can stay left, right, and you don't have maybe one of those guys that's super specialist against a right-hander or a left-hander come in and dominate you.
No, I agree. And if you're going to move them up, you're going to move them up a spot or two. Maybe that's it. Where are we at? We'll get more of a clearer picture later this week on Friday when you guys talk to Hollander. But you're anticipating him to say what? Is it Tuesday?
What?
Ish? Next week that he's ready to roll.
Who?
Donovan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, could be. I mean, he could play this weekend for all I know. It's like he's eligible to come off whenever. So, because
okay, I thought it was next week.
For position players, it's only 10 days. Pitchers is 15, so he's eligible to come off.
So you could get the news that he's coming back.
He could be in the lineup on Friday, for all we know. Okay. It's one thing is like when I talked to him about it right before we left, or right before the road trip, he just said that this is something he's just going to have to deal with all season. That it's never going to be a point where he just feels great, because it's like it's always there. It takes a long time for those muscles to recover. Things you do in baseball don't work well with those muscles. So it's something he's going to have to deal with some discomfort from time to time, play through it. Just make sure that he isn't, re-tearing that area by doing something crazy. So, I think we'll see him this weekend, because if you extend it out longer, then he's going to have to do a rehab assignment or something like that, is my guess. So I think that we'll probably see him this weekend.
And as we're on injuries timetable, Bryce Miller, we're still looking at how far away?
Oh, I think by the end of he started his rehab on April 18th, I think. So 30 days from there. So, middle of May, mid-May. I mean, that means he'll make probably 2 to 3 more starts. So that's 2 to 3 more starts where they can decide what they want to do.
Well, and obviously we can address it as we get closer and Hancock and all that. But now what's been brought in the equation is Luis Castillo. Yeah. What do you make of what you have observed from Castillo? Things have not been good since the first start of the season, in which he went 6 innings and gave up the 3 hits. He struck out 7, he walked a couple, but since then he hasn't even got out of the 5th inning. What are you noticing?
Yeah, I mean, he's just really inefficient. The velocity on his fastball has crept back down a little bit. The other night, I might give him a little slack just because it was a muddy mess. I couldn't believe they played that game. So the mound was muddy. It was cold. Yeah, I didn't expect him to have the greatest life on his fastball, but, and that happened last year. He had a stretch like this last year. I think it was 3 or 4 starts in August. And you thought, well, okay, he's tiring out. But really, it was just like a mechanical issue that he kind of lost his mechanics and couldn't make his pitches, cut his velo, kill some of the movement on a slider and changeup. And maybe that's where he's at right now. Because he worked really hard and his velo was good the first couple games. And even he had 1 decent start, I think, since the Yankee gun. I mean, he got into the 5th, but not anything great. So, if it doesn't get better, in the next 3 outings, then they're going to have to make a hard decision. And it may be a situation too, where they think it's arm fatigue or something like that. They put him on the IL, see if they can build back up, give him some rest, then rebuild him back up, see if that helps come around. I mean, he is older.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everyone's, just DFA him. I'm like, no, you don't do that, stupid. He's owed 35 million or something. Yeah, there's no DFA him. You don't get rid of starting pitchers with major league experience. They can.
No.
So they'll find a way to
give him all the time he needs to get it.
They'll find a way to make it work. And, because about the time you think you have too much pitching, baseball kicks you right in the balls and says, no, you don't.
Yep. 100%. All right. The fans usually you and I don't just sit there and placate to what people are saying on social media, but there has been this, dissatisfaction despite the offensive numbers being good with JP. I think everybody that's observing him and watching him play, and maybe he would admit this or not, I don't know. I mean, any player that's going to get older and he's getting older is going to lose a step, range, all of that. He's never been one that has been. Has he won a Gold Glove?
Yeah, he won it in 2020.
Yeah. So he has had that potential, but I don't think people have always been blown away with his play there at shortstop. Good. Certainly no one's going to be saying great, I think, when they describe him, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to what he's done defensively and what he's meant to this team. So there's people that are wondering, okay, they've got this guy down there in Tacoma. They'll bring him up there. I mean, clearly I think that this organization would make a move if they felt that Colt Emerson was ready to help a championship-level team. You and I have talked about this before on and off the air. Defensively, yes, but offensively, that's still a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, that's the holdup, because it's not like Colt couldn't help them at third base either. They're currently using Leo Rivas and Will Wilson. I mean, the Colt defensively at third, defensively at shortstop, he has been outstanding in Tacoma. Again, it's Tacoma, a little different in the big leagues. Balls hit a little bit harder, a little bit more pressure. But yeah, I think defensively he would hold up fine. The problem is the offense isn't quite where they want it. They want him to be producing more because they want him to play on a near daily basis when he comes up. You look at the strikeout rate is higher than it's ever been. He's seeing more off speed than he's ever seen probably in his entire career. And, and those sorts of things you have to work through, like AAA. We will see guys that throw hard in AAA now because everybody throws hard. but you'll see guys that execute a breaking pitch and will pitch you backwards and will throw you a breaking ball and a fastball count, and we'll do different things and we'll adjust. I mean, like, that's another thing. In AAA, you play, a lot of it now. You're playing a 5-game series. And so 5 games, they can start picking out inefficiencies in your swing, your approach, or whatever. And at AAA, these guys are good enough with their off speed or even their fastballs to attack you and pitch to your weaknesses. And until you kind of overcome that, that's going to be the issue. I mean, that's kind of what happened this spring. I like, they weren't mad at Cole per se, but I think they don't want him to get away from his hit ability, like his contact rate, because he's always been a guy that walks as much as he strikes out, and didn't strike out that much. Now he's striking out more than he ever has. There's some scouts that think he's trying to sell out for a little bit more power, which the Mariners don't really care about. They just want him to be a good hitter. Power comes. It's kind of like with Cole Young. He hit some homers, whatever, but that's not what they want. They just want you to be a good overall hitter, have more of the hit ability and contact rate, quality contact rate, than just being a guy that sells out for power. They got lots of guys that can strike out and hit home runs. They want something more than that. And I think that's the barrier that's holding Cole back more than anything. It's not, nobody's saying that like Cole wouldn't be an improvement defensively at third base or probably even shortstop. But what the reason the holdup is that the offensive production isn't enough to mitigate or merit, bringing him up here on an everyday basis unless there was an injury. I mean,
there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd cut you off. I thought we were wrapping up. I didn't know what was going on.
You look at what
Jump the gun.
You look at what JP is doing at the plate. Doing at the plate. That's enough for them. I don't even really know who's like an elite defensive shortstop anymore. Like when you look around baseball, I'm trying to think of like who's an elite defensive shortstop.
Oh, I think Bobby Witt.
Yeah, he's the dude. Payne is pretty good, right? Jeremy Payne there.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just see a younger version of Bobby Witt and Emerson. He's the shiny new toy, and people want to see him. They're excited to see him, and they'll see a ball that goes through or under his glove at JP, and they want him up here. And I get it. I get the excitement of it.
I do think
and when he comes up here, it's gonna be fun to watch.
I do think like there's a level of people that are looking for any reason to hate on JP or to push that agenda versus like, just truly looking at it. I'm not sitting there and saying JP is like an elite defensive shortstop. I'm saying like, look, if in my estimation, sometimes, and he is playing a premium defensive position, I can pick about a few other players on the field that are worse defensively than the shortstop right now, regardless of what the metrics say. And as Perry Hill says, he doesn't believe in the metrics, so I don't have to either. That's one thing too. Another thing, Puck, is like people use defensive metrics a lot and they don't really know how to use them. It's like you're not really supposed to use these things early in the season because the sample size is small. You need a larger.
It's like me with tools.
Yeah. It's like me with like, I go out on the golf course and I hit 3 good shots on the range. I automatically think I'm going to go out and shoot 81. It's like I might, it's like, come on.
Yeah, doesn't happen ever. All right. Hey, we'll talk next week.
Okay.
A week in the books. They go 5-1. They've got a great homestand that's coming up right now where they will get to see the Royals they will honor Randy Johnson coming up on Saturday night. Then they get the Braves after that, and then they will head back on the road to take on the White Sox. Safe travels back to Seattle. Thanks for always doing it, and appreciate the love and the support from Ryan Divish.
I'll tell you about the goddamn tequila.
Well, they made a pretty good argument when you weren't here.
Oh, yeah? Who made the argument? The 17-year-old?
Neither of them acted 17, sir.
Mm-hmm.